You're welcome to the program. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana, and we're going into the issues of security once again. It's been a year, 2, 3, 4, and we've recorded a number of all these bullion, what we call bullion van incidents. That's crime, and it looks like the police service always puts in measures to see how they can avoid some of these deaths, reckless deaths that we've been recording, but nothing seems to be happening. We'll be having this conversation with Adib Sani, security analyst, and Edie Sumaila, who is also president and association of Bullion Operators Ghana, and Christian Tachi Jan, who is a banking and finance consultant as well on this issue. It has to do with finding a viable solution to the problem of bullion van attacks, and maybe it will extend to other areas and everybody can make use of it with the solutions that are put on the table. My name is Ania Fampofo. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Back to the program. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana, and I have been joined in the studio by Edie Sumaila. He's president, Association of Bullion Operators Ghana, Association of Bullion Operators Ghana. We'll later on be joined by Adib Sani, security analyst, and also Christian Taki Jan, who is a banking and finance consultant, later on in the program. But let's go through the list that Ghana has seen of that's crime scenes as far as bullion van operations are concerned, in terms of the transporting of monies from one spot to the other, and in the process we experience all these accidents and robbery cases. So as you have on your screen, January 2021. On January 18, 2021, some highway robbers numbering about 10 attacked a bullion van traveling on a section of the Adansi Formina Road in the Ashanti region, and an amount of 500,000 Ghana cedis was stolen. The driver of a vehicle survived, while police officer escorting the van was killed. His AK-47 assault rifle also was stolen. In a broad daylight, that's March 2021, in a broad daylight on March 1, 2021, a bullion van belonging to a popular bank was robbed on the Spintex Road at Bachona, near the Dampong Hospital, by some armed men numbering about 4, according to eyewitnesses. The driver of the bullion van and one of the officials from the bank escaped, while the escorting police officer was assaulted by the robbers. The robbers broke into the van and escaped with the money. Now, June 2021, the month of June recorded 2 bullion van attacks in a span of 3 days. The first incident happened on June 14. A bullion van was attacked at the Adedengbo near Jamestown in Accra. A young police officer escorting the van and a woman were killed. The driver of the vehicle sustained serious injuries, and the robbers bolted away with the money. The second attack happened on June 17. Passengers in the bullion van with the registration number GN695617 were attacked on the Winneba-Accra highway. The unknown assailants shot at the van at the Ochireko and Dominance portion of the Winneba-Accra stretch. Aside the driver, the van was occupied by 2 policemen with an amount of 550,000 on board. Fortunately, for them, they escaped and the gunshots and were rescued by the Winneba Division Police, who escorted them back to Accra. June 15, 2021, the Ghana Police Service has cautioned banks across the country as far as the transportation of the cash is concerned. In a statement issued by the Public Affairs Directorate, the Inspector General of the Police 15/2021 directed banks to ensure that they procure fortified armored vehicles to cut the cash within the country. The Ghana Police Service prevented an attempted bullion van robbery at the industrial area in Accra. This was February 2022. The service, in the Facebook post on Tuesday, February 2022, said the suspects are being pursued by the anti-robbery teams. According to the police, further details on the incident will be communicated by the Accra Regional Police Command in due course. and 2023, February 6, Ghana started assembling cash in transit armored truck to the country's bank movement of large sums of money secure and impervious to robbery assaults. The first 4 vehicles are the Dihoki Naki Manufacturing Company Limited. The equipment at its armored vehicle assembling facility at Bema Camp in Accra are now prepared for usage. And the Defense Industries Holding Company Limited, a private business arm of Ghana Armed Forces, and Kinaki Manufacturing Company Limited have formed a joint venture company called Dignac. Then a policeman has been killed in a daylight robbery attack on the Bullion van at Ablekuma Fan Milk in Accra. Videos of the incident show the members of the public rescuing the fatally shot police officer from the pickup truck, and that just happened yesterday. That's a bit of some history, in a short period of time from 2021 up to this point. We have recorded about 5. The question is this a particular one team that's going around and monitoring Bullion van movements, or it's just the act that people are copying? Eddie, thank you for your time once again, and you're welcome to the program. Good afternoon to you. Right. Firstly, you are the president of Association of Bullion Operators Ghana. Tell us about that association.
The Association of Bullion Operators Ghana is an association.
Okay, please come back or draw your mic closer if you want to be comfortable. Right, sure.
So it was formed in 2020, and we officially got our certificate in 2021. And we got all CIT, cash in transit companies, together to form this association. So for now, we have about 7 members who are actively involved in the movement of cash across the country.
7 members?
7 members.
That's all the association is numbered?
For now, that's it.
So what is your work?
Our work is to internally regulate the activities and conduct of private cash in transit companies in the country.
Okay. So this company that I mentioned on the screen, if you can give me that, is it DHAC or DCAC?
Agate Mabot Company.
Agate what? Mabot
Yes.
Company.
Yeah.
They are putting together the Bullion vans.
Oh, those manufacturers.
The manufacturers,
that's Dignac.
Dignac. Okay,
yes.
So it says, Ghana started assembling the cash transit armored trucks to keep the country's bank movement large. Oh, no, I don't want this. I want the one with the name. Dihok Kinaki.
Okay.
They are manufacturing company limited, equipped at its armored vehicles assembly facility at Bema Camp in Accra, now prepared for the usage. Do you work with them, Dihok?
No, we have several retrofit. We call them retrofitting companies. You bring the vehicle as in its chassis. You buy the vehicle and then you send it there for them to upgrade it for you.
Upgrade it. So so we bring in the trucks, as in
Yes.
the pickup trucks, right? And then you send it to these companies to upgrade it.
Yeah.
And they will cut all these, box-like looking
ballistic
thing.
material. They will
Ballistic?
They equip it with the ballistic material.
Is it a
it's
ballistic
just the hardcore metal that is used in protecting the vehicle from any external intrusion.
But obviously, it's not protecting any even lives.
It protects lives because once the bullet doesn't penetrate, then the lives are safe inside. You understand?
But so with your association, are you satisfied with what type of bullion vans we are producing?
You see,
because
there's a history
the
to this
ballistic
issue.
material, as you say, right, is behind the truck.
Yeah.
If you can give us just a picture of maybe a truck or something, it's behind the truck. The box, like when they are driving the pickup, you see that box thing.
Yes.
So that's ballistic, right? But the armed robbers, they don't go through that box thing. They just come straight into who is riding the truck.
Let me give you the whole thing. The chassis is just the soft skin vehicle that we all have. Then you take it to the company that is supposed to retrofit. Then they will now use the ballistic material in reorganizing and redesigning the vehicle. So it covers the entire portions of the vehicle, including the windscreen, including the windows, including the doors and everything.
Okay, I now understand.
Yes, so that's how it is done.
So what are we using on the road now? This one that they attacked. What
that one is a soft skin. In Ghana, until recently, we were all using the soft skin vans. That is the history of CIT in Ghana, which was approved and accepted by all the stakeholders. Then, until this attack, we came together and decided that now we have to move forward. What is the way forward? Let us use armored bullion van, as other countries are doing. So we decided engaging with all the stakeholders to set the roadmap towards the transitioning of the usage of soft skin into armored. So initial deadline was given by the Ghana Police Service. That was in 2021. But the stakeholders met again and realized, and if I say stakeholders, we have the Ministry of Interior, we have the Bank of Ghana, we have the Ghana Police Service, and also the Association of Bankers, as well as the service providers. So we thought that the timelines were so short because getting an armored vehicle into the country goes through a process. The process is that the one bringing in the armored vehicle has to satisfy certain conditions set by the Interior Ministry. Now, if you go through those conditions, then they issue a letter to you that they have no objection whatsoever for you bringing in the van into the country. So once that letter is issued, it is that letter you will use to the manufacturing company, either internally or externally, to retrofit the van for you. When it gets there, the companies also have their own internal mechanisms they have to go through with their security agencies. So once that is done, then the vehicle is retrofitted and then exported to your country. Now, once it arrives, national security is there, Interior Ministry is there at the port, and of course the Ghana Police to take custody of the vehicle. They will now go through the vehicle as per the design given out to see if it tallies with the design. Once it conforms with the design given, then now Bank of Ghana also steps in to take the vehicle to the operational department. They have a team of technical ballistic experts who will go through it, and once it is cleared, then the vehicle is now handed over to either the bank or the end user for usage on our roads. That is the first thing. So until recently, the deadline was July 1st, 2023. So most companies were still using the soft skin because we're all going through these processes of acquisition of the armored bullion vans into the country. But until July 1st, we are still using the soft skin. And then after July 1st, all the soft skins will be phased out for the armored vehicle. Do
we have some of the armored vehicles ready?
Of course, we have a lot of them in the country now.
So what are we waiting for? Because we have been giving a deadline of July 1st. We want more policemen to die. And you see, when you watch the report that I read, all of them, at least from 2021 to now, everyone that died was the police officer.
Yes.
Those who were able to escape were the driver or maybe onlookers or somebody, in escort or something. But all the victims that fell to this death are all police officers.
I'll tell you what. You see, going through the history of crime, any criminal who comes to you will look for your gun or will look for the one holding the gun. He is the one to be eliminated first before they go on to the others. And by the time they finish eliminating, certainly your impulse will push you to run away. So that's the issue. So once a bullion van is attacked, the criminals will obviously look for the one holding the gun, be him a policeman or an individual. That's what happens. Now, the issue is that the vehicles, before the arrival of the vehicles, we certainly have to go through an agreement with our banks, who, of course, are our clients. We have to engage with them for them to give us a contract. Once a contract is secured, please bring me so and so number of vehicles for my business. We also have to look for the money. Once the money is secured, either through the bank or through our external financiers, then we bring in the vans. Those banks who have contracted us, who have engaged with us, who have given us their mandate to work with them, we have provided the vehicles to them.
How many banks have contracted you?
You see, the thing is, right now, I can say for myself as Cone Security, I'm working for Commercial Bank, I'm working for Agri Development Bank. My other colleagues are also working for other banks. But for now, I can say for sure that I know Agri Development Bank has fully complied, 100% complied. So if you go to the premises of Agri Development Bank, you will find no other vehicle than the armored plated bullion vans that are working for them across the country.
Your organization is, what's it called?
Association of bullion operators.
Bullion
Ghana.
van operators.
Yes.
Yes, but what regulation are you under?
Right now, we are trying to carve out the entirety. So that's why I said we are working with the stakeholders. The police is involved, Bank of Ghana is involved. We've set out a preliminary framework within which to work. So that's what I told you.
So it's under which institution?
The Ministry of Interior.
Interior.
Yes, the Ministry
so
of
you
Interior.
work directly under government.
Under government,
so
yes.
you are working
it's a Police
on
Service Act.
Yes, for and on behalf of government.
Of government.
Okay. Hold on. Let me speak with Christian Taki. Jan is a banking and finance consultant. He has joined me via Zoom. Christian, we're grateful for your time. Thank you for joining us. I'm in the studio with Idi Sumaila. He is president of the Association of Bullion Operators Ghana, right? Just so you're aware. Let me know if you have been able to, as a consultant, what's your the update you can give us as far as the bankers or the banking institutions' efforts have been so far in procuring the armored vehicles that we are required to now be using?
Yeah, good afternoon, and thanks for having me on your program. There's been a lot of development, especially with a surge in armed robbery and attacks on bullion vans. Hitherto, what we're using, I wouldn't say they were actually bullion vans. They were just pickups that we had certain enforcements to ensure that we're able to cut cash from one end to the other, especially evacuation from the banking halls to Bank of Ghana premises. If you look at it, over the years, we are trying to move from cash intensive system where people no longer will actually trade in cash, but will resort to electronic means, like the e-switch, introduction of e-switch. In the last 2 years, I can also confirm that a lot of the banks are actually going into technology where with their mobile apps, you'll be able to transfer funds from your account to another bank account or even across other banks. So that one it remains work in progress and they are still working on it. But we are very much used to the system where Ghanaians are so comfortable with cash. Even if you want to do an electronic transfer for somebody, he prefers you giving him cash no matter the volumes involved. And therefore, with the cash intensive ventures like the filling stations and some other businesses, they require that so far as in the evening they have their bankers come and pick up their cash, and normally we use these bullion vans for such services. It's not been easy. It's been very difficult looking at the directive that actually came from Bank of Ghana to move from those pickup services to using enforced and fortified bullion vans for such services. I know a lot of the banks are actually who are unable to purchase some of their own are now going into an agreement with a lot of these cash in transit cash pickers like the security agencies to help them with the cash pickup. But some other institutions are still resorting to the pickup that is made of a bullion van in doing the cash pickup service for them. It's been a long road. I know it's going to be very difficult, especially some of them who do not have the cash background or the funds to be able to purchase such vehicles. Nevertheless, the business of banking is all about risk, and it's about mitigating some of those risks. And therefore, so far as you are in the business or you are ready to pick up cash for your customers, you should be able to bring in such mitigants, like bringing some of these fortified bullion vans. If you cannot purchase of your own because of probably cash constraints or liquidity constraints, you can contract some of these agencies that are actually picking up cash that have got the fortified bullion vans to be doing the exercise for them. So they are still working on it, but it still remains a very long road into getting it achieved. And it's very unfortunate that some of these things begin to rear its ugly head. And sometimes when it comes like this, we'll sit and talk about it. But so far as there is another issue that comes up, then we relegate it to the background.
Right.
And we have to go back to what we are used to. I mean, we just have to enforce the rules, and then some of these things wouldn't happen again.
So I'm particularly quite frustrated about our inability to implement whatever has been recommended, especially what came from the police, what came from the Bank of Ghana. There was one of the directives was to have an extra vehicle that police officers will use as the escort vehicle, and not necessarily be in the bullion where the cash sits. But banks have obviously flouted these directives and are looking on and doing it, and the police officers are also not ensuring that, or the police couples or leaders within the police service are not ensuring that their men or their boys are being protected. And so one attack after the other, you see that all these directives that we're giving are being flouted all over the place. Will you say that maybe bullion van availability or capacity to go for the service should be one of the regulations that we should probably add to the banking sector?
Yes, if you look at the activities of the cash in transit, they are twofold. There is where you have to evacuate cash from the bank, from the banking hall to Bank of Ghana. That one, Bank of Ghana itself, because it is going to receive that cash, if you come in in not what they have prescribed, they can send you back and you have to take your money away. So normally cash that is in transit from the banking halls to Bank of Ghana have got that arrangement where the cash is in one bullion, the security operatives or those who are supposed to guard the funds are also in another track, which normally are not seen for security reasons. So Bank of Ghana actually ensures that. But there is the other bit where as a service provided by the bank, where they have to do cash pickup on regular basis for their customers, like what recently happened. They were actually going to pick up cash from a filling station. In that regard, they do not want to spend that extra in getting or engaging the police to bring that extra car for their security operatives. And therefore, what happens is that some of them even just pick the security on duty. He's attached to the bullion van, what we call the bullion van, and they go on such assignments. So for the two folds, one, I know there is that strict compliance because it is going to Bank of Ghana direct and they do ensure that there is that compliance. But where there is a challenge is the bank's own activity of cash pickup, especially for their customers. That is where we see a lot of challenges.
So then we have to intensify the regulations for the banks too, where it may be in this case where we've lost a police officer. The bank that is responsible for this should be answering to it, not so?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because if Bank of Ghana is able to ensure that cash that are being brought to its premises are really fortified with security personnel and armored, then the banks will also have to ensure that whatever activity or service they want people to perform for them. In this case, I'm sure the security man was working for that particular bank, and therefore they have to be responsible. They might. So far, there's not been that much of a casualty to the bank staff. It's always been the security personnel. But who knows? Maybe tomorrow is going to be that bank staff that you are on the same desk with, or that bank staff that you go home with. It's important that we solve some of these things. Banking is all about regulation, and therefore, once they are compliant to some of these regulations, we wouldn't be having some of these incidents happening.
Let me come back to it. Which of these, what I pushed for, where maybe part of the regulations should be, or requirements for the banking sector should be, your availability to purchase either a bullion van or even go in for the services. That should be part of the requirement. And in addition to that, answer to incidences such as these. Which part of these regulations do you also fall in that you can actually make sure that some of these things are, adhered to?
Thank you very much. The first leg of the issue is that regulation, once an industry is regulated, I don't think there are exemptions. So we are all supposed to go by those regulations. So you would notice that moving forward from the 1st of July, is going to be part of the ethics of Bank of Ghana. Before a bank is issued a license, then you must prove the availability of armored bullion vehicles for your services. That is the first one. The second one is that We are contractors of the bank. And as a business, it's our duty to bring in armored bullion vans to cater for the needs of our clients. So those are the vans then that we have always provided for the banks. But moving forward from 1st of July, I think that no CIT company would want to take that risk to use soft-skin vans, because as part of my mandate, I have recommended to the Bank of Ghana and other stakeholders that we should have a joint monitoring team, that every 3 months we should come out and monitor on the roads. All vans that are not fit for purpose, we should recommend their arrest and prosecution.
Then let me find out this. When money is going to be transported from one point to the other, there is a regulation that is, what's it called, that monitors that movement, no? It's like, you know, there's an explosion that happened at, what's this place? That town that...
something.
Yes, that town. When chemicals or explosives are going to be transported, we have an institution that monitors or that regulates the movement. Do we have the same movements being regulated, either maybe by the Bank of Ghana or any other body?
No, it's the police.
So it's just the police that knows that money
police.
is going to be moved from Access Bank A to Access Bank B?
In most cases, the police are not even aware of the movement, but they are part of the movement. Because of security implications. Now, moving forward, what we are doing is that, as part of our regulations, all cash in transit companies should have monitoring mechanisms on their vehicles. And we are recommending for video tracking devices. So as the vehicle moves along on a certain route, the movement of the vehicle is monitored via video. And it's also part of our recommendation that companies must have a monitoring control center where their vehicles will be recorded. The movement of the vehicles will be monitored and recorded, so that in the case of an unlikely event like this, we are able to bring real-time footage of what has actually happened. And I can tell you for sure that we have started. We have put together a monitoring center for our members. And come 1st July, certainly most of these vehicles are going to be monitored real-time. And in the unlikely event of this, we are able to provide footages for the police to help in that.
Let me bring in Christian. Christian, what can you tell us about these monitoring activities when money is in transit? How do the banks do it? Do we have a central point that receives the announcement that, oh, there's going to be a money transit or cash transit from here to point A to point B? Do you have that central system? Do you have any monitoring system within the banking sector?
Yes, it remains a tracking system, and a tracking system normally does not come with video footages. It's just about to be able to locate where the bullion van is at that particular point in time.
What's the nature of
Mr.
this?
Eddy
What's the nature of this tracking system?
Basically, just to locate where exactly the bullion is, and so you get it being tracked on a particular route where they've actually got into, where they are doing. Sometimes when they stop, the one at the command center can actually draw their attention. Why have they stopped? And sometimes they can give reasons for it. And for me, if you ask me, it is not secure enough. And Mr. Eddy makes an important point that for when there is a live footage, and then they will be able to intervene when there is that incident. But if you ask me, it will only be a proactive measure. It will rather be a reactive measure, because at that particular point in time, the incident might have happened, of which you have the video footage to now counter it, which is only reactive. We need to put in pragmatic measures or proactive measures that will ensure that some of these things will not happen in the first place. And for me, the best and the only way to go is to have these fortified bullion vans, where the security apparatus wouldn't be part of the bullion contingent, but they will be somewhere else. Have we also explored, especially cash movement? Because, for example, I don't see why if you want to move cash from Tamale to Accra, it has to be by a bullion van, however fortified. Can we explore using helicopters? We have helicopters available. The Ghana Army, I know, have got some of these available, where if a private person wants to have it, there is a process that you can go. Can Bank of Ghana, for example, say they can get one or two to be on standby to be able to carry out some of these duties? I mean, like I've already indicated, banking is all about risk, and we need to put in the mitigants. So far as we have cash being airlifted, I know is going to solve the situation, or it is going to limit the incidence of these robbery attacks. For these armed robbers to now begin to say we are going to attack it airborne is going to take a lot of work or a bit of time before they get, I mean, even a helicopter in the first place
because
to be able to
analysts
do
are
that.
even saying that, you know, the way they even carry out these activities, you can see that it's really not a sophisticated activity. It's not really that sophisticated. It's just normal holding a gun, shooting someone, taking their money. I mean, to get into the air, that's another, but that would be expensive.
Yes, it would. I mean, like I've already indicated, the banking sector is a highly regulated institution. It is very risky, and therefore, if we are ready to do that business of banking, we should be ready to spend on it. And I mean, it wouldn't. Some of the institutions are able to make as much as 200 million a year. What prevents them from say, okay, so let's dedicate about 10% of this across the industry? They should be able to purchase, if not a couple, at least some 2 or 3 within a specified period, if they're able to come together with the support of Bank of Ghana and other state institutions, getting about 2 or 3 helicopters to be airlifting cash, especially from the banks or across Bank of Ghana branches, let's say from Tamale to Accra. If such an arrangement is made where helicopter is actually made to airlift these cash, it's really going to be very helpful.
ED has indicated that ADB is one of the banks that he can confidently say they have almost like 80%. Okay, fully. When you say fully, what do you... Okay, they have gone for the armored vehicles, and that's what they are using. So Christian, from your monitoring, what do you think the others left will do? Are they able to do that? You say that some of them are not capable because it's expensive. How will a bank exist and not be able to purchase an armored vehicle or go for its services? How is that possible?
Unfortunately, it is a system that we live in. Maybe those who are new entrants that will be coming in are the ones who will be able to actually comply fully. But the existing ones, they've actually pleaded for a bit of time to be able to have full compliance to that Bank of Ghana regulation. But I know there are some CIT companies who have got these fortified bullion vans. So if you cannot purchase one of your own, then you can actually outsource the cash pickup activity to some of those companies that have got a fortified armored and then bullion vans to be able to do that work.
We have up to 1st of July. ED says they have most of these vehicles ready, but the banks have just not, come for them. But we have up to 1st of July. This directive was given years ago, 3 years or so ago. So I think all the banks have had enough time, whether you're a new entrant or you are an old, company, whatever institution.
Yes. 1st July is just at the corner, less than a fortnight, and you ask yourself, are some of these institutions ready to go by it? Like I've indicated earlier, if they cannot purchase one of their own or a couple of their own, they can outsource it to those companies, the CIT companies who've got the fortified and then armored bullion vans. They should be able to do the job for them, for all of us to be safe, because now the bank staff is not safe, the security personnel is not safe, and the money that is being in transit is also not safe. So we need to protect our industry. Fortunately, we have Bank of Ghana as the regulator, and they've been very strict in implementing some policies once they really want to ensure. They just have to crack the whip on such institutions who are not ready to go by that directive of theirs. So far as it remains a highly regulated sector, I'm sure Bank of Ghana will easily be able to enforce this.
Adib Sani is a security analyst. He's joined me via phone. Adib, thank you for your time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I'm actually having a conversation with Christian. Christian is actually a banking sector consultant, and he's just saying that Bank of Ghana has been strict in implementing some of its policies. With the use of bullion vans, do you think Bank of Ghana has been strict on that usage? At least he's giving me the information that when banks are transporting money from one point to the Bank of Ghana, they comply, because when you get there and you are not complying, they might even, return you with your money. But to other banks and, the whole secular or circulation of money within the country, I don't think Bank of Ghana has been that strict.
Well, in one aspect, Bank of Ghana has, but in another aspect, Bank of Ghana hasn't done enough. Okay, so fine. But the first aspect I am talking about is the fact that if you are moving money from Bank of Ghana or to the Bank of Ghana, you should be compliant, right?
Yeah.
However, as the body charged with regulating all banks, including all commercial banks in the country, it is incumbent on them to ensure that these banks also comply, if not, sanctions be applied. Okay, so the fact that there are still banks moving money from one place to another without the use of armored bullion vans means the work is not complete. And I'm also surprised that the police service would provide men for such dangerous task when 2 years ago we were told by the former IGP that if your vehicle is not bulletproof, they are not going to provide men for that purpose. So I'm surprised, and I'm absolutely gobsmacked that today, 2023, we still have these pickups fitted to carry money around. So I think it's an unfortunate spectacle, and quite obviously some people somewhere should be sleeping on the job, and that is why we are where we are today.
Now, when we look at the list, before you came on, we went through the list from 2021 till now. The activities you see averagely spreads across the country. And I'm not sure what your inner gut security expertise is telling you. If there seem to be a cartel that is, collaborating with some partners and going around the country and doing this, or it's just that we have not seen anyone punished for this act, and so people are learning it, thinking it is a successful crime to be committed.
Okay, so just before IGP Dampari came, you and I are fully aware the number of robberies that were recorded in the country on a weekly basis. It was staggering. It was shocking. It was a national emergency. Then IGP Dampari came, and a lot of work, I must say, has been done. And thankfully, we were able to reduce the robberies. But what I am worried about today is the lethality, not the frequency. What we saw yesterday is so audacious, is so cold, and I mean, I as a criminal researcher, I have reviewed the tape, watched it over and over again. And look, these guys are pros. They played by the book. They trailed the vehicle some 100, 200 meters away rather than closely doing it bumper to bumper, so you would know that someone is following you. Secondly, when they got there, the first thing they did is to eliminate the threat, which was the police officer. Then they instilled fear and intimidation. Then they secured the scene to be able to effectively carry out the operation by making one of them go to the road to be on the lookout for any security or civilian third-party intervention. So if you are coming to intervene from the road, he would finish you. So that was his work. And within seconds, not even minutes, they were able, and everybody seemed to know what he was doing. There was division of labor. You wouldn't have two people rushing to pick the policeman's rifle. One person did it, another person is doing this, another person is on the road. Look, they are professionals.
So what other people are saying, they are not security men, but I've heard analysis that have sought to say or think that these people are not sophisticated. But from what you're saying,
the robbers. Hello? Are you there?
Yeah.
The robbers, you mean?
Yes.
Look, if you are a criminologist, like you follow crime and all that, the people did a clinical job. They played by the book. They did a clinical job, and that's exactly what I'm explaining. Everybody knew what he was doing. If they were naive, they wouldn't have been able to succeed. Do you understand me?
Right.
And the fact that they got there and immediately went for the kill. They were not taking any prisoners. They were not maiming. They were not injuring. It was their intention to immediately liquidate or, just terminate, kill the police officer. And that's exactly what they did. All right. So for anyone to think that they are not professional makes me wonder why they say so. But surely these persons are professional criminals.
Well, thank you. We'll leave it here. We don't have a lot of time now. So thank you for speaking to us. We'll get back to you at another time.
Sure.
Christian, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, your last words before I come back to Edie in the studio.
Yes, I think these spectacles are happening rampant, and the usual Ghanaian way, once it happens, we all get on board, we speak about it, but when it gets to the implementation or taking action, we seem to be relaxed. I mean, this should be the very last call for us to actually ensure that some of these issues are complied with, to ensure that we do not lose lives, because to actually lose a life is always very, very difficult. And so we must ensure that Bank of Ghana actually enforces what the rules are so that these banks can actually play by them.
I'm grateful. This one says that my name is Ishmael from Ashaiman. My advice to the men in the uniform is that they must be combat ready, especially when they are holding the weapon or uniform. The moment the bullion van slowed down or stopped, the police should have gone out of the van to scan the area. He's been inside the van, cannot exchange fire with the robbers. This is one of the reasons why most policemen are killed. They are not combat ready. I think I agree with you on that. In fact, some of the stakeholders also are part of the problem. For instance, some of the service providers will go and acquire these cars for the safety of occupants, but they are not ready to allow them to deploy them. And at the end of the day, they have to pay for the cars, and due to that, there is difficulty to operate it well. This one says, I think the Bank of Ghana should rather make sure that they enforce it to work to protect lives. By Abdul. I saw some of the armored cars, but armored cars with video cameras, with video accessories all around the cars, but they're parked without working. They are parked without working. That's what you want to say. Edie, your last words. What should we expect from you going forward? Are you going to, give us more work, more effectiveness at your office?
What you should expect from me, that is, as in the association, is that we should expect efficiency. We should also expect safety for the occupants of our bullion vans. And that's exactly what we are doing. As I speak now, I can tell you for sure, without mincing words, that from the 1st of July, no soft skin will be allowed to move on our roads again.
And that will be your work?
That is my word. And those who don't comply will have to have themselves to blame. So that is the first. The second thing is that let us all be also very proactive in helping fight crime. Because what we are doing now, there are several measures we put in place that I will not sit here to say. It is possible that very soon our cash bags will be monitored because we have monitoring devices, we can drop in tracking devices, wherever they are, we can. There are several things we are doing. We are not to sit here to say it, but we are also working. But the fact still remains that all we are doing, all our effort is towards minimizing crime to the barest minimum. Yeah. But we can't sit here to say we are eliminating it. So it behooves on each and every individual, every citizen, to help us fight crime. But to be fair, Bank of Ghana has done their part. They have worked, they have pressurized us to do the right thing together with the police service. Some of these incidences, I call it isolated incidents, are unfortunate. Right. But the loss of life cannot be tolerated. So on this score, let me still express my heartfelt condolence to the family of the bereaved young police officer. We, as an association, are there to support them. We are still waiting for a brief from the management of Agate, who are, of course, going to meet me tomorrow. Then we see what can be done moving forward. I can also assure you that all our workers in the van, the crew, are well insured. And very soon we are going to provide them with protective clothing in the vehicles. All is geared towards the 1st July deadline. And I can assure you that we are working. we shall be there. Now, my plea to the banks is also to quickly engage us. Let us talk to each other. Let us sit down and see what can be done. You know, there are certain institutions that are keen in talking about money. We have to save money. What can you do? You know, when it gets to these points, we all have to open up and see what we can together do to help solve this situation.
Right, right. You can be sure that 1st of July we're coming to you, maybe before 1st of July.
God
we will
willing,
come to your office again.
Thank you so
for
much.
some more information. Idi Sumaila is the president of the Association of Bullion Operators Ghana. Adib Sani spoke with us. He's a security analyst. And also Christian Taki Jan is a banking and finance consultant. My name is Ania Frampofu. It is a Friday, so please keep safe, drive safe on the road, and make sure that by next week you are still alive for your family. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.